Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer because we are looking at an absolutely massive hurdle in artificial intelligence today, building an AI for healthcare that actually genuinely works in the real world. Imagine this scenario for a second. A digital doctor can perfectly recite the complex chemical structure of every single medication in a hospital pharmacy. Brilliant, right? But then, a patient walks in with a complex, multi-symptom issue, and that exact same AI casually suggests a lethal combination of drugs simply because it couldn't correctly format or read the digital patient chart. That is the frustrating reality we've been facing with generalized AI in medicine. We've all seen models that can chat, write emails, or ace standardized tests, but deploying a model into a high-stakes clinical environment, that is a completely different beast. So today we are unpacking a really fascinating research paper that introduces a model called Cura 1T. We're going to explore exactly how its creators tackled the unique, incredibly rigid challenges of medical AI.
Now, what's really interesting about this question is that training an AI for medicine is literally like playing a game of whack-a-mole. You see, when researchers try to update an AI to fix one specific skill, say getting it to perfectly fill out a complex electronic health record, that narrow update often completely breaks another skill. It forgets one thing to learn another. For example, a model might successfully learn to diagnose a terminal illness accurately, but because its training was so hyper-focused on clinical data, its bedside manner just completely breaks down. It ends up delivering the news with the cold, robotic efficiency of an ATM receipt, outputting something like, "Error, patient survival probability 0.4%. Have a nice day." Like, it's factually correct, but it completely terrifies the patient.
So let's jump into Section 1, the medical AI dilemma, and look at the challenge of balancing these skills. Think of the AI like a medical resident. First, it has to master patient care. This means it must deliver responses that are safe, clear, empathetic, and actually follow strict physician guidelines. Second, it needs clinical reasoning. It has to solve complex, expert-level medical questions, combining factual recall with differential diagnosis, often looking at both text and complex images like X-rays. And third, it needs to handle healthcare agentic tasks. This is the paperwork, the multi-turn workflows, using electronic health record tools without messing up the formatting. To really understand the stakes here, imagine the AI knows a patient needs 50 milligrams of a vital medication, but when it interacts with the hospital's database, it puts the number 50 in the drip rate box instead of the dosage box. In a hospital, that's not just a software glitch, that's a catastrophic medical error. The dilemma is that these three areas fail in completely different ways, and just blindly dumping generic medical data into the model to improve its paperwork often causes it to completely forget its bedside manner.
This brings us to Section 2. Enter Cura 1T.
Built by the Activa AI team on top of a base model known as Kimi 2.6, this is a 1 trillion parameter healthcare specialized large language model. It handles native text and vision inputs, but it also features a massive 256K context window. And in healthcare, that size is absolutely crucial. A 256K context window means this model can hold an entire patient's lifelong medical history. We're talking every lab result, every specialist note, every prescription they've ever had, in its active memory all at once to make a holistic decision. But what makes Cura 1T truly special isn't just its size. It's how it's specifically designed to solve that exact whack-a-mole problem we just talked about.
Moving right along to Section 3, the self-evolution loop, where the AI essentially acts as its own teacher.
You know, the limiting factor in medical AI isn't really the underlying algorithms anymore. It's the scarcity of high-quality, highly specific training data. So, instead of waiting around for humans to write millions of perfect medical examples, Cura 1T methodically cycles through these 5 steps. First, an AI training agent plans target behaviors. Second, it trains the model using lightweight, low-rank adapters. Third, it evaluates itself against rigorous benchmarks. Fourth, and actually this is where the real magic happens, it analyzes the root causes of its exact failures and refines the data. Imagine the AI takes a practice test and fails to diagnose a rare autoimmune disease because it missed a subtle combination of symptoms. Instead of waiting for a programmer to write a new textbook chapter, the AI pauses, analyzes that exact failure, and synthesizes brand new, hyper-targeted training prompts focused specifically on that symptom overlap. It writes its own tailored curriculum to fix the gap. Finally, step 5 is the human review gate, where a person decides whether to keep it, revert it, or deploy it.
Let's look at how that actually works in Section 4, crafting the perfect data. When the AI learns a new trick in that loop, it relies heavily on something called retention anchors. When the system finds a failure, it creates new data to teach that specific skill. But to prevent that dreaded whack-a-mole effect, it intentionally mixes in a small, carefully curated set of examples for things it already does perfectly. For example, while the AI is intensely studying how to read a complex MRI of the brain, the system intentionally feeds it a basic anatomy quiz so it doesn't accidentally forget where the femur is located. It's actively reminding itself of old tricks while cementing the new ones, ensuring overall accuracy never drops.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive shift in modern AI training. We are moving away from blind, generic data dumps, like just throwing entire medical libraries at a server, to highly specific, targeted synthetic curation. If a model is missing rubric points in a patient chat, throwing more anatomy textbooks at it won't help. The system synthesizes targeted rubrics that express the exact behavioral gap. It creates the specific synthetic medicine it needs to literally cure its own weaknesses.
But does acting as your own medical school curriculum designer actually work in practice? Let's check the receipts in Section 5, Beating the Benchmarks. Across the board, Cura 1T shows massive jumps from its base model. The most dramatic improvements are in the HealthBench evaluations. HealthBench Pro tests open-ended clinical responses against strict physician-authored rubrics. It's testing if the AI communicates like a real professional. The model improved by nearly 16% there. That is a massive leap in a field where single-digit gains usually make headlines. And HealthBench Hard, which tests highly complex diagnostic reasoning, saw a huge jump too. Plus, look at MedXpertQA. This one is notoriously difficult because the AI has to pull distinct, isolated facts across multiple complex documents and images to form one answer. A solid jump there proves the self-evolution loop is universally elevating the model across all three of those crucial medical pillars, without sacrificing one for the other.
And when we put it head-to-head with the absolute heavyweights of the AI world, Cura 1T rockets to the top in almost every single category. It outperforms models like GPT 5.5 and Claude Opus 4.8 on 5 out of the 6 healthcare benchmark panels. To see a specialized medical model outperform massive, multi-billion-dollar general models on their own turf is a monumental shift. It proves that a meticulously curated data diet allows a model to punch well above its weight class.
Now, this 0.940 score on MedAgentBench is particularly staggering. It tests whether a model can accurately execute clinically derived workflows using electronic health record tools. A score of 94% proves the model can reliably execute complex digital actions, like properly formatting and submitting a surgical referral without hallucinating fake data. But we do have to be honest and talk about the remaining 6%. In a real hospital setting, a 6% failure rate on administrative routing is still a huge deal. That gap is the real-world threshold for trust. A 94 is an A grade in medical school, but out on the floor, we are chasing that 99.9% reliability before we let it operate completely unsupervised. Still, it's an incredible milestone.
Which brings us to our final section, the future of healthcare AI.
What you should really take away from this explainer isn't just that Cura 1T is a remarkably capable model, but exactly how it got there. As the researchers explicitly note, healthcare specialization is a data mixture problem before it is a hyperparameter search problem. The future of specialized AI isn't about wildly tweaking the underlying math or throwing endless mountains of scraped internet data at a wall to see what sticks. It's about brilliant, surgical data curation. The system succeeded because it used its own failures as direct evidence for what precise data was missing, and then it built it.
And that leaves us with a fascinating thought to close on. The researchers tested Cura 1T on general reasoning and math and found its intense medical training didn't erode its general intelligence at all. If this self-evolution loop can successfully conquer the high-stakes, unforgiving complexities of the medical field, balancing bedside manner, expert diagnosis, and complex paperwork, the possibilities for other industries are absolutely boundless. What happens when we unleash this exact same self-curating loop on the complexities of corporate law, or aerospace engineering, or global finance? The AI doctor is in, and it just might be writing the blueprint for the future of all specialized artificial intelligence.